Hello everyone. Uh, so let me introduce myself. My name is VN Vichar. I currently working in Technicolor as art director. So I started my journey way earlier in the heritage city of. I was born and brought up in the heritage city of Mysore. I was inspired from the art and the culture over there that made me to take art as my main profession. So I did my masters in sculpting. So I was very much inspired from the way the Indian temple architecture, the way they told the story inside the temple. So I would show you a small video of the temple which I got inspired. This is a 13th century temple. The way they have used the storytelling, like Drost effect, story inside a story. They have used the surface and they have told the story in a very unique way, like a flip book. So I was very much inspired from the very early childhood. I was seeing all this monuments and I was thinking of using those elements. So that's the way the storytelling started for me. So let me play this video. So this what inspired me, like seeing those when you go around the architecture, you see those small panels like an animation. They have made like a comic strip. That was really fascinating. I wanted to bring those storytelling elements in my sculptures. So in early my masters, I started using those elements, those panels, what I was talking about. So how do I bring those elements in my sculpture? So I was always exploring the way of storytelling. So I always looked up for great masters, Indian great masters, and started developing my own storytelling language. So this is one of my sculpture called Desire, based on Indian mythology. So it's based on Drost effect, a story inside a story. Like this whole story moral is about desire. When we go behind a desire, there are a lot of unseen, or you'll end up into trouble. So this is the whole moral of the story. Actually, this is the pivotal point where the whole story changes. So I narrated that the whole incident, and I used panels like how it's there on the Indian temple architecture. So I started using like a comic strip. So this is the way I started using storytelling in a different way in sculpture. And once again, this is also based on Indian mythology. So here also I was narrating the whole story of Mahabharata, where because of the dice game, the whole story changes. And every person has a story behind, right? When we talk about a person, we always remember the small stories about that person. So I incorporate all those stories of her in the sculpture. And this is one more sculpture called Enlightened One. I have tried to capture the 4 stages of Buddha. You could see neck, his royal life, the mouth area where, if you talk to someone, it should be very pleasing. Like animals used to sit and listen his preachings. And eye and ear, someone should see you, and if they hear you, they should get inspired. Like how, Angulimal and Mara got inspired from Buddha, seeing and hearing his preach. So this is the forehead where you have spiritually they call the Sahasrar chakra. So I have done different kind of auras representing Buddha symbolically, and the last is where he's got enlightened under the tree, Bodhi Vruksh. So I made it more symbolic. The Ushnisha, they called the turban. So for me, it used to look like a Bodhi tree. So I symbolically played the elements. I referred to the lot of historical evidence, and those while doing that I studied a lot to understand the motives and the symbolism. How do I use those to tell the story? So after completing my masters, I got an opportunity to work with late Shrikanta Datta Wadir, the king of Mysore. So he saw my sculptures and he said, "Hey, I would like to work with you." So I worked for King of Mysore for several years as a personal sculptor in Mysore Palace. And this is one of the sculpture which I created for him. It's in his personal collection. It's a life-size plaster of Paris. So after this, I was, wanted to push my storytelling to next level. So I was exploring new ways of telling stories. Then I got to know the animation field or the digital field. So I was really fascinated about that, like dummy god, where I can create my character, but I could give life to my character. So that was really fascinating for me, and that made me move towards digital industry. Before that, I was worked as a assistant art director. I worked in forensic, also worked as illustrator, and also did archaeology, conservation, and restoring work. So it was really interesting for me to tell story using all those experience. So digital made me uh, push myself to the next level to tell a storytelling in a different way. So that's how I started my digital sculpting. I got nice tools which like Wacom and ZBrush just really helped me to push my digital sculpting to very next level. So here I was, when I was doing my traditional sculptures, I was very limited to, tell the story where I had a lot of constraint doing storytelling. So digital really helped me out to tell story in a different way, where I was able to capture a frozen movement. So from here, it's a lot of exploration of storytelling. So I wanted to capture here the frozen movement, and wanted the spectator to be in thought whether the deer will escape or dragon will eat up. So it's left to the spectator. So like example, you are watching a teleseries and you get an ad in between, and it is very crucial moment, and you don't know what will happen in the next. So you have to wait for that crucial moment. What will happen? That I wanted to capture those elements in the digital sculpting. So this is one of the exploration which I did. So while storytelling, the most important thing is the gesture and the pose. So usually what happens is many of them, they use this element, the great masters use this contraposta posing gesture, because when you are doing just a stagnant, it doesn't give you life to your sculpture. So when you have a slight movement and a twist in the sculpture, the storytelling becomes very interesting. So you could see this one classic sculpture. It's beautiful, though it doesn't have much life into it. If you see the same sculpture over here, you could see that there is a subtle twist. Like example, when you take a selfie, you never take a selfie from the front view, right? You always take a three-quarter. Do you know why? It's very interesting, right? So usually why we take is the play of light. When you take in a 3/4, the play of light will be very nice, and it will unveil the planes, and it will enhance the volume and the surface. So that's where the sculptures look more lively, and it will value add to that. So this is very important while storytelling. So I'll be explaining furthermore, about the contraposta. These are the few example what I created initially in digital sculpting while storytelling. So if you see here, it's lifelike, but it doesn't have that charming in the sculpture, because it's a very stagnant. So it doesn't give you life to your sculpture. So while storytelling, it's very important to understand the twists and turns of the body, and you need to understand the anatomy very well. And I was very fascinated about capturing the light, the water. It's very tough since I come from traditional background. It's always tough to create those movement in the sculpture. So digital really helped me to push my storytelling. So I wanted to capture that, the first drop of rain, the enjoyment of the rain, and the vivel cloth. So I wanted to explore all those things in my digital sculpting. So these are the few examples which while I have used digital sculpting to tell the story. The first rain, the first the experience, that inner feeling. I wanted to get that inner feeling in my sculptures. So this is one of my sculpture, Lady with the Lamp. So I wanted to get that the notorious look, and you are curious who is behind it in the cloth, who is the person. So that play of light, that curiosity. So I wanted to play storytelling using those elements. So I was very much inspired from great masters like Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, Alberti, Ghiberti, Brunelleschi, you name it. There are many great masters. I always follow their teachings, and I always implement those learnings from their great masters. So here, this is once again a spiral composition. So what I showed you previously was a contraposta, where a certain movement of body movement was there, but not much. So when you see here, why we remember the David, because the sculpture is so much twist and turns are there in the body, subtle twist and turns, and that gesture makes it more believable, and the storytelling will become more interesting. So that's where I took those elements in my sculpture and started implementing in my digital sculpting. So you could see the lower portion, there is an turn, the upper torso is twisted into two direction. So this is very important while storytelling. So well said story with gesture would remember forever. So that's how we remember the great master sculptures, because this all elements, this all ingredients are being captured in that. That's why it has been remembered for generation to generation. So I use all these elements in my digital sculpting. Further, I'll show a couple of my examples which I've used in my storytelling. So this is Alistair Wolverine boxers. So I wanted to use those same principle of Michelangelo David. So this is twist. You could see that the lower portion is twist, the upper portion is the chest is moving in different direction, the abdomen is moving in different direction. So I wanted to get that spiral feel in my sculpture. So this is one more sculpture, the Joker. So I was really inspired from that, and I wanted to get the plaster feel in my sculpture. So this is one more exploration why what I did in digital sculpting. And I was always fascinated about the water. As a sculptor, it's very tough to sculpt water. So this is not a VFX; it's all manually sculpted. The every water drop is being sculpted. So I wanted to get that that wetness as well as the water movement on the body, and it was a nice experience for me. And the gesture, if you see the gesture here also, it's a spiral composition once again. So always with the spiral composition, the digital sculptures looks better. And I was very much inspired from Norman Rockwell, where one frozen movement you could tell what is happening in the illustration. Or example, you could take a movie poster and you know the whole story. Well said poster, you can understand the whole story. What is what is happening, whether it is a sad movie or whether it's a romantic movie. With one frozen frame, you can make out a lot of story behind it, and it gives the spectator room to think about it. So this is one of my the thought process which I use for this sculpture. It is shower on a summer day. So all the elements here, even the cloth, everything is hand sculpted. No shortcuts. I believe in hand sculpting everything rather than taking a shortcut. So this is one of my sculpt. And once again here, I wanted to tell a story. You could connect to my traditional sculpture where I did one of the sculpture where I told the whole story on a female the body, like a Drost effect. So here it's a Helen of Troy, where when we talk about Helen of Troy, we remember the Helen, the queen, and we remember the Troy War. So that's what I have used the surface of a body and told the whole story. So when we say Helen of Troy, we always immediately connect to the Trojan War. So that for me, according to me, this is the time where installation art started. You could see the one hand, the horse, the wooden horse, and the other hand, the death of Hercules. So I wanted to use symbolism in my sculptures while storytelling. So this is one of the exploration on that. And let us talk about spiral composition. Previously, I was talking about spiral composition. What is spiral composition? A twist and turn. So that makes more interesting. If you take a rope and twist, it makes more interesting. Yeah, rather than keeping a straight thread, it doesn't give you that a nice play of light. When you twist the rope, you could see the twist, the play of light, and exposing more of shapes and forms. So this is an example to demonstrate what is spiral composition. I would be showing furthermore on the spiral composition. This is also you could see multiple spiral composition in this. Like previously what I showed was very subtle. The only hip, the knee was just twisted, but here it's more getting complicated. I think Michelangelo played a lot with spiral composition. So this is an example taken from online. And these are the few sculptures which I would like to bring here and show the spiral composition. When you have spiral composition like that, so it makes the spectator, when you go around, every angle, every view makes it interesting. If you see that there are 3 views, and every 3 views, it is something different, and it keeps the spectator to rotate his eye around the sculpture. You don't take your eye away once you see the sculpture. If it is a very stagnant, what happens is your eyes goes to the top to bottom and takes away. So when it is a spiral composition, what happens is your eyes rotates around the sculpture and revert back, throws back to the sculpture itself. That is what the great masters used to use in their storytelling. This is one more example of Bernini, David. So this is also a spiral composition. So your eye goes from the toe to the head, and once again it reverts back when you come to the other angle and push back to the other side. It keeps you curiosity. What is the other side of the sculpture? So that is very important while storytelling. So this is Giovanna Bolgona's Rape of a Southern Woman. So if you see this is also spiral composition, multiple spiral composition. So it makes it more interesting, more tense, more dynamic, and he has captured the frozen moment, what was happened there. So it's like a coil, winded up coil. So the tension is being captured there. So it's very important to get all this recipe to tell a story. And here is a small example of my sculpt, which I did for 3D Total Anatomy for digital artists. So here also, if you see, there is a multiple twist here. She's lying down, but there is a multiple twist. So wanted to tell this, the body twist and how interesting it can be. And this is also multiple spiral composition. This is Beauty and the Beast. So I wanted to change the stereoscopic view of people. When I say Beauty and the Beast, everyone will think that Beauty is the girl and Beast is the crocodile. But I wanted to reverse it. According to me, the beauty is the crocodile and the beast is us. because we've been butchering their the animals for the skin, and we are reducing the population of crocodiles. So wanted to tell a story in a different way, and wanted to use art as illusion. If you see this, there is a water, but there is no water. So the spectator, when they see the sculpture, they see it in art as illusion way. So wanted to capture that the vacuum or the the atmosphere around it. So this is one more exploration on those lines, and this is called balance of life. So here it's like unicycle. It's very tough to ride, right? So I wanted to show life. I related life to this because it's very hard to balance. Life is like that. It's very tough to balance. You cannot decide how it you have to go. How the life should go. So unicycle is also something like that. So if you master it, you can master the life. So this is the balance act of life. So wanted to capture that, and same time I'm give a lot of importance to anatomy, because very important is that when you twist and turn, you should be aware of how the body movement and the anatomy goes. This is the grayscale of that. So you could see that twist and turn of the body, so that it really push the anatomy skills to the next level. And this is one more sculpt of mine, where I wanted to capture multiple view of it. Like there is a death. Same time, her soul is traveling. So I wanted to capture a soul in my sculpture. So this is everything has been hand sculpted. The soul, everything has been hand sculpted. So uh, this is in traditional it was very tough to capture all those things. So this is one more exploration, like a movie poster. So I wanted to capture the emotion, love, the life is traveling to the different world. So in one frame I wanted to capture everything. So this is called the sculpture called karma. So where I wanted to capture the boomerang, like what goes around comes around, right? Karma. So do good, you get back good. So this was inspired from the Greek sculptures. So I was very much inspired with Greek sculptures, and I used this boomerang as my the theme. This is another view of it, and this is also once again balance, balance act of life. And this is called the music, silent music. So once again I played here to capture the sound without showing much of thing. It's a silent music. So I wanted to capture that in the sculpture. Once again, this is also a spiral composition. So this is called hunting spear, where I wanted to capture the chase of the dog and the rabbit. So this is also once again a spiral composition, and this is called the smoking beauty. So I was inspired from great sculpture from Harappa Mohenjo-daro. So I wanted to capture that after her performance she's taking a break, and giving a time for herself. So I wanted to capture that. So this is one of the sculpt exploration. All the lace, everything has been hand sculpted, even the smoke also. And this is a historical sculpt which I did for 3D printing. Once again, a storytelling. And this is called haircut on a Sunday. So this, I wanted to capture that when you take your first time, your nephew or your son, the experience. So I wanted to capture like Norman Rockwell. So this is one exploration of that. So this is called ego. I related ego to the kite. So higher you go, the higher the ego goes. So once again, this is also a spiral composition. This is called Rocket Boy. So everyone would have played with the paper rocket. So wanted to capture that movement, storytelling like Norman Rockwell. So this is once again based on Indian sports called kabaddi, where you hold someone from reaching the goal. So in real life, people do that. Obstacle to success. So people will try to stop you from getting to the finishing. So we should be supporting as an art community. We should appreciate each other. We should help each other to go rather than stopping someone to grow to the success. Once again, this is called Mourn of Death. So she's lost her beloved one. She's lost in her own thoughts and her own memory. So this is once again wanted to capture the fear. So through a tiger also gets fear. So every person gets feared. So tiger gets very fear to cross over the water. So that moment I wanted to capture. Even bigger people also get scared when things new thing they want to do, but they overcome that. That is what one message wanted to give on this sculpture. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank Wacom for giving me this wonderful opportunity, and